Hi, I'm JT-Wilcox. I am the House Republican Leader here at the Capitol in Olympia. And we're about, in fact, just a little past the halfway point of the first period of floor action in the state legislature for 2019. And we have passed a number of bills here, and the truth is most bills address some specific problem, and Republicans and Democrats all agree that we should address that. However, there are some really great bills and there are some really bad bills, and our job as the minority is to oppose the ones that are really bad. And probably the one that has gotten the most attention in a bad way is the bill that addresses the presidential primary. Now, House Republicans are fine with the idea that the Washington state primary should come earlier in the year so that it has an impact on the national scene and so that national candidates will feel like they should come and campaign in Washington. But there was a major flaw in the bill that was brought forward. It really only has room for Republicans and Democrats. And when you get that ballot in the mail, you have to declare whether or not you're a Republican or a Democrat. And if you don't do that, your vote will not be valid in this primary. Now, this is paid for by the public, and the cost is more than $10 million. And so if you're a taxpayer, you are paying for this presidential primary. House Republicans voted, I think, unanimously against the bill because we don't think that everyday taxpayers should be funding what is actually a way to gather signatures and gather addresses for the partisan parties. We think that you should be able to vote any way that you want and that you shouldn't have to declare a party if you want your vote to be counted. Now, there was another bill that was a little controversial yesterday. It was called the School Safety Bill. And the bill had plenty of good parts. It had some bad parts. And it also was watered down and really should have included additional funding for school resource officers and for school security redesign. Now, that bill is going over to the Senate, and I have hopes that those deficiencies will be fixed there, and I know that the Senate Republicans are going to be working hard to do that. We had some really good Republican bills as well. Many of you have followed the quest of my colleague, Representative Dan-Griffey, to work hard on eliminating and in some cases extending the time for the statute of limitations for sex offenders who have victimized children. In order to get this bill passed, Dan made a few compromises that were somewhat painful for him, and it was kind of an amazing debate because almost anyone would imagine that this bill would pass unanimously, but it was very contentious, and incredibly, I think there were 8 or 9 or 10 no votes on that bill. We also had another bill that was sponsored by my colleague Gina-Mosbrucker that was to address the growing backlog of untested rape kits. Republicans for many years now have sponsored amendments to do that, and in fact, many times those have passed only to find that as we process these evidence kits, we find that even more of them are many years old and sitting on shelves, and once we start processing, then we find that we've got more of them to do. So hopefully this bill will get funded by the majority and we will actually process all of these. And in the meantime, anybody that's guilty of an assault in the past, I hope is losing a lot of sleep because we want to catch those people and we want to put them in jail. There are a number of other bills that Republicans sponsored that are good but don't get quite as much attention. We have a Republican bill that helps prevent identity theft. We work on patient safety, cost savings for local government, textbook costs for college students. In many cases, the highest costs that they have to pay for themselves are these very expensive textbooks. We've worked on cyber harassment and a number of bills that improve K-12 education. I talk about the bills that are non-controversial. It's important to remember every bill is important to somebody, and we try hard to pay attention to every one of those and make the very best choice for all of you. Now, we've got another 4 or 5 days of floor action coming. I think probably the bills that are the worst are the ones that are going to show up last. So if you care about some of the bills that I haven't mentioned or that haven't passed across the House floor, I hope that you will keep contacting your representatives so that you can be sure that they have your input and at least have the opportunity to do the best job of representing you. Thank you.